My beloved child, your body is not a temporary garment to be worn for a day and then discarded. It is my temple, made holy by the very first breath I gave you. Each time you harm yourself, you unknowingly crack the stones I myself set in place with love. Once, the prophet Elijah, overwhelmed by despair, lay beneath a broom tree and asked to die because he was exhausted. Yet God sent an angel to touch him and say, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." 1 Kings 1:9-7. That bread and water strengthened him to walk 40 days and 40 nights. The Lord did not condemn his weakness. He restored him through physical care, so that Elijah's soul could once again hear his voice. My child, I did not give you a soul alone, I also gave you a body, as an instrument to carry out my will. Your body is not a prison, but a temple, my dwelling place. When you eat carelessly, stay awake through many nights, or treat your health as unimportant, you are quietly trading away the gift I placed in your hands. To love and care for yourself is not selfishness. It is a way of honoring the one who formed you. Learn to live with order. Learn to stop, to rest, to give thanks, for it is within that order that blessing is poured out. Many say, "Tomorrow I will change. Tomorrow I will live more healthily." But my child, tomorrow is the sweetest trap of the lazy heart. When you wait until you are less busy, more stable, time is already slipping past, quietly eroding faith and strength. Today, even one small step is the day I wait for you to act. You do not need great power, you only need obedience. Begin with what is small, and I will do the rest. Healing does not come only through instant miracles. More often it begins with a very small but sincere decision. When you let go of one bad habit, sleep 1 hour earlier, walk to watch the sun rise, or pause to pray, this is where I am quietly restoring you. One right step in the light is worth more than 100 promises in the dark. Do not despise what is small, for every miracle sprouts from simple faithfulness. I tell you, peace is not only a spiritual gift, but also a need of the body. When your soul grows heavy, your body grows weary. When you live in constant tension, your breath becomes short. Learning to rest is an act of faith, not a sign of weakness. In stillness, you will hear me more clearly, see life as lighter, and love others more deeply. And when you live rightly and care for yourself rightly, you become a living witness, because others will see the light of restoration within you and believe that I am still at work in this world. My beloved child, how many times have you treated your body like an old clay vessel, meant only for temporary use? Never thinking that I poured my breath into it, I watch you spin in circles of worry, driving yourself to exhaustion, telling yourself, just a little more, as though being depleted were nothing. Yet those heavy footsteps speak what you have not dared to admit. You have forgotten to guard the gift I gave you. Each time you skip a meal, each time you stay awake all night, each time you ignore the signs of weariness, you are carving unseen scuffs into my temple. My child, I do not blame you, but I want you to hear this gentle whisper clearly. You are more precious than you think, and so is your body. My child, the deeper reason you treat yourself lightly is not carelessness, but the habit of a world that praises quick success and relentless strength. You have learned to place others' needs above your own, and you have mistaken endurance for sacrifice, for devotion. But I tell you, sacrifice is never the same as self-eroding. When you keep running without rest, you slip into the illusion that you are stronger than you truly are. And when you are so exhausted you can barely pray, you begin to think this is normal. In truth, forgetting to care for your body is what draws you farther from me. Because when you are worn beyond measure, my voice grows faint in your mind. My child, Let me tell you the story of the prophet Jonah, who once ran from my calling, worn down until he sank into deep sleep in the belly of a ship facing a storm. Yet even in that storm, I did not rebuke Jonah with anger. I awakened his conscience with truth. It was not my desire that he be crushed, but his running away that drained his body and soul. Then, when he was inside the great fish, with no strength left to resist, I nourished him through quiet time, so that he could regain the clarity he had lost. I still do this for you today, not through tempests, but through gentle reminders in a body that is crying out. And so, my child, I call you to return not to a new list of tasks, but to the truth you cannot serve me while you yourself are fractured. I do not demand that you become strong instantly. I only ask you to take one small step of care. Eat with moderation. Sleep enough. Take a few minutes to breathe and remember that I am with you. When you do these simple things, you are not only regaining strength, you are rekindling the inner light that has faded after long, weary days. I will uphold you, for I rejoice to see you treasure what I have given. Then, as you begin to touch that small restoration, a new awakening will open in your mind. You will realize that caring for your body is not only a practical matter, but also the foundation for hearing me more clearly. Just as a farmer tends the soil before sowing seed, you must also cultivate yourself before continuing the journey of faith. From here you will understand why certain right things must begin now, without postponing even one more day. For the moment you restore your body is also the moment you open the door to the deeper changes I am about to lead you into. My child, there are moments when I see you sitting still while your mind is tangled like knotted thread, knowing what is right to do, yet hesitating, telling yourself, tomorrow. You do not intend to avoid it, but delay slips in like a thin mist, and you do not notice it stealing your brightest days. Each time you move a right thing to another day, you lose a small piece of the future I prepared for you. I do not accuse you for walking slowly, but I grieve when I see time falling from your hands like sand you cannot hold. My child, tomorrow is not evil, but it is not the place to deposit the most important things of your life. Do you know why you so easily fall into the trap of procrastination? Because deep within, you believe you will always have more time, that tomorrow will be wider, brighter, and that your heart will somehow become strong on its own. But this world does not run on that optimism. Each day has its own weight. And when you postpone what is right, you are only stacking more weight upon yourself. Often you do not delay because you are lazy, but because you fear beginning, fear failure, fear not being enough, fear losing temporary comfort. I understand all those fears, and I do not blame you. But I want you to see that fear grows when you turn away, not when you face it. And the longer you wait, the more delay becomes a chain that holds you still in a journey where you were meant to move forward. Remember the story of Nehemiah, who heard that the walls of Jerusalem lay in ruins and felt his heart torn in two. He could have said, I will pray for a few more months before I act. But he did not. He wept, prayed, fasted, and asked the king for permission to return and rebuild. Had he delayed, the wall could not have been rebuilt in 52 days, and my people would not have regained courage. Nehemiah did not wait until everything was perfect. He began in the rubble, and I did the rest. My child, that story is not told merely to be heard, but to remind you that beginning today holds more power than you imagine. Therefore, my child, I invite you to lay down the burden of tomorrow and take one small step right now. You do not need to change your whole life in a single afternoon. I only ask you to choose one right thing and do it before the thought of delay arrives. When you clear your desk, when you reopen a Bible that has gathered dust, when you stand up and walk for a few minutes, When you speak the apology you have held in your heart for weeks, that is when a new day begins to enter your life. I give strength to those who dare to take one step, even a trembling one. And as you step forward, you will see doors open lighter, brighter, as if that right thing has been waiting for you all along. When you understand the power of beginning, your heart will become more sensitive to the gentle movements within your soul, movements often hidden beneath delay. And in the very moment you bravely do what is right in the present, you will open new pathways for healing to enter. Just as a seed must be placed in the earth and cannot remain forever in the palm of the hand, so you also must sow a small action into this very moment for life to break forth. From here you will see that small steps, real steps, without display, are the beginning of every change I have long prepared for you, my child. Sometimes you think change must come through a great upheaval, a blazing moment strong enough to turn your whole life around. But, my dear one, the healing I give rarely arrives in thunder. It comes in a gentle breeze, in small footsteps you assume do not matter. You wait for a day when you are overflowing with motivation. But motivation cannot sustain the soul as long as the steady faithfulness of small and true actions. I watch you struggle between the dream of change and the reality of weariness. And I want to hold you and say, only one step, my child, for what is wondrous is not in long leaps, but in your courage to begin even with a short step. You easily forget that all my wonders begin with the simplest things, because you compare yourself to those who have gone ahead. You think your small step means nothing. Weariness also makes you hesitate, afraid that your first step is too weak, afraid you will not last, afraid temptation will pull you back into old habits. But my child, if you will only take a true step, not perfect, not grand, I will set my hand upon that step. You have thought you were too weak to change. Yet weakness is fertile ground for my grace to grow strong. Your small step will awaken what you believed had died within you, longing, tenderness, and new life. Remember the story of Ezra leading Israel back from exile. They stood amid the ruins of the temple with no resources, no military strength, no support from surrounding lands. Yet, they began with the smallest thing. They built the altar first, and only later rebuilt the walls. They did not wait for enough stones, enough people, or perfect conditions. They did what they could do in front of them, and I guarded them in each step. When that altar was raised, worship returned to my people, and that became the beginning of complete restoration. You see, healing does not begin with circumstances, but with a small and truthful decision. So, my child, when you long to be healed, but do not know where to begin with the smallest thing. Turn off your phone a little earlier. Lie down on time. Drink a glass of water. Step outside to see the sun. Or pray in a single breath. These things seem small, but they open the way for new life to flow back into you. For healing is not only for the body, it also softens the heart, clears the mind, and draws you near to me again. Be faithful in what is small, and I will use that smallness to rejoin what has been fractured in your soul little by little, gentle as oil falling upon a wound. Then, as you become familiar with the gentle rhythm of small steps, you will discover that true peace does not always come in absolute silence. It comes through daily choices. Choosing to slow down and listen. Choosing to stop when your soul is weary. Choosing to soothe yourself instead of forcing yourself. Choosing to let me lead rather than letting worry drag you along. Healing within you will become an underground stream, slowly soaking into every corner of your heart, making you lighter, brighter, and ready to receive what deeper things I wish to teach you. From here, you will see that peace is not only a final reward, but the very path you walk with me, and that journey will lead you into a new understanding of the needs of both body and spirit. There are times, my child, when I see in your eyes a strange weariness, not the tiredness of work, but the fatigue of a soul that has been striving for too long. You try to remain strong, to appear steady so that no one will worry. But that silence is what slowly lets peace slip away. You keep telling yourself to continue, to push a little more, as if rest were a luxury not meant for you. But I tell you, rest is not weakness. It is the wisdom of one who knows to whom they belong. Peace is not something you must fight to earn. It is a gift I have placed at the doorway of your heart, waiting only for you to open it. My child, the reason peace has been hard to find is not the storms outside you, but the way you have neglected your own spiritual need. You worry about work, about family, about what others think, about a future not yet arrived, and each worry is like a small stone, piling into a weight that presses on your chest. When you live in constant tension, your body tightens like an instrument whose strings are pulled too hard. Your spirit dries up as well. No longer able to hear my gentle breath, you think something is wrong with you. But in truth, you have simply forgotten to step into quietness so that both spirit and body can be revived. I created you to live, not to merely endure unending fatigue. Remember Mary, who chose to sit at my feet and listen, while Martha busied herself with many tasks. Martha was not wrong, yet she allowed work to dim my presence. Mary understood that the soul must be nourished before the hands can serve. I said, Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. You see, peace does not come from doing everything. It comes from choosing what is right at the right time. When you place spiritual life first, your body also learns to rest, because the two were never meant to be separated in the design I set for you. So, my child, I invite you to return to the breathing rhythm of peace you lost amid busy days. Learn to pause, if only for a few minutes, so your heart can exhale gently. Step outside and see that the sky is still blue as in the beginning when I created it. Sit in quietness and hear again my voice that has never left you. True rest does not slow you down. It helps you go farther. It does not make you weak. It strengthens the deepest part of you. You do not need to spend all your strength proving your worth, for your worth rests in the love I have for you, a love deep enough to desire that you live in peace, not wear away in survival. And when peace begins to flow again through the hidden passages of your soul, you will recognize something wondrous. Your recovery is not only for you. The light in your eyes, the steadiness in your breathing, the gentleness in how you treat yourself, these will become a wordless testimony to those who are lost beside you. Others will look at you and know that I am still at work in this world, through your quiet yet powerful change. And from that place of peace, you will be prepared to step into a greater calling to become hope for others, like a small lamp that never goes out. You only need to keep your heart soft in my hands. The rest I will complete. My child, have you ever noticed that when there is more peace in your eyes, the people around you also naturally feel lighter in their hearts, even if you do not speak a single word of preaching? The way you live, the way you treat your own body and soul is quietly telling a story. Every time you wear yourself down, you are unknowingly repeating a sad story that you do not see your own worth, that the temple of mind within you is not worthy of being cherished. But when you begin to care for your body, to learn how to rest, to turn away from the things that are damaging the life inside you, that story changes its tone completely. It becomes a testimony that I am still healing. You may not realize it, but every small change in you is rewriting the book that others read each day through your attitude and your face. And I long for that book to become a living testimony, not in theory, but in a life that is truly made new. I know that many times a thought rises in your heart, my life is too ordinary, too messy, Too sinful. How could I ever become a witness? You compare yourself with those you consider more spiritual or holier. And the more you compare, the smaller and more unworthy you feel. Then you hide your cracks. You hide your own journey of weakness, afraid that if anyone knew, they would despise you or be disappointed. But my child, those very scars, when they are touched by me, become the loudest proof of grace. People do not need a life that has never stumbled. They need to see a life that has fallen and yet can stand again because of me. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well, who avoided the eyes of others because of her tangled past and her broken relationships. She came to draw water at the hottest hour of the day so that few would see her. Yet at that very moment, I was there waiting for her, speaking with her, touching the deepest place she carried inside. After just one conversation, she no longer hid. She ran back to the town and told everyone, "Come and see the man who has told me everything I have ever done." Her past, which had once been her shame, became the very ground of her living testimony. My child, if I can use a despised woman to stir an entire town, I can also use your own story of restoration to reach the thirsty hearts around you. That is why, my child, I invite you not to hide your battles in the dark any longer. When you dare to be honest about the habits that once wore down your body, about your fears and your procrastination, and at the same time dare to tell how I am slowly pulling you out of them, you are shining a kind of light that dry doctrines can never give. You do not need to stand behind a pulpit, you only need to live truthfully, to walk each day in trust, so that people can see the difference between the before and the now in you. A healthy meal you choose, a night when you decide to sleep early, a moment when you choose to rest instead of running yourself into exhaustion, a decision to say no to what harms your body and soul. All of these are sentences I am writing across your life as a wordless sermon. And many times, that silent sermon will reach people whom spoken words could never touch. And in time, you will realize that the journey of caring for your body, breaking free from procrastination, taking small steps toward healing, and learning to live in peace is not just so that you can be healthier or more okay. It is preparing you to become a tangible source of hope for those in despair around you, your loved ones, your friends, those who are repeating the same choices that once wounded you. When they see that you are no longer wasting away, no longer destroying my temple in you, they will know there is still a way home for them. And in that very moment, my child, you will deeply understand that your life, though once cracked and broken, has become a restored temple, a place others can look at and recognize that God is still living, still loving, and still renewing what seemed to be lost. But my child, when I look more closely into your daily life, I see something very quiet yet dangerous. You are not deliberately opposing me, but you are unintentionally treating your own body, the place I have chosen to dwell, harshly. You think they are only small, insignificant choices, one time eating just to satisfy your cravings, one night staying up to your heart's content, one extra push to finish that task, one more time bracing yourself to bear the stress without daring to rest. Then all those just once moments gather together and become an entire way of life. You do not realize it, but little by little you are dismantling the temple I entrusted to you, not with hammer and chisel, but with neglect, resignation, and letting yourself be swept along. I see all of this, not to keep a record against you, but to let you know that I am not blind to the weariness you carry, nor silent about what is eroding you from within. I see the times when you stand before food not to nourish yourself, but to escape your emotions. The more exhausted you are, the more your table fills with things that bring instant comfort, yet make your body heavy, your eyes dull, your heart strain, You know some of these foods are not good for you. Yet you tell yourself, just for today, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I see you eating in a rush when you are stressed, eating far more than you truly need, eating not because you are hungry, but because you are sad, lonely, or under pressure with no other way you know how to release it. I created your sense of taste so that you could experience joy, but you have been using it like a blanket to cover a wound that has not been healed. My beloved child, I do not despise you for these things. I am simply saddened that you are turning what was given to sustain you into something that quietly weighs you down. I also see every sip of sugary drink, every highly processed food with little life left in it that you put into your body out of habit. You call it convenient, quick, just to get the meal over with. But inside, your body has to work many times harder to handle substances it was not created to endure for long. Your liver labors to filter. Your heart strains. Your blood sugar quietly rises and falls like erratic waves wearing down a shoreline. You grow more tired, yet think it is simply because you are weak. And then you push your body through another round of the same cycle. My child, I have never taught you to become a slave to taste or convenience. I want you to rule over those choices. Because everything you eat and drink is also a sentence you speak to yourself. Do I honor this temple or not? Then come the quiet nights when it is just you and the cold blue light from the screen. I see your eyes glued to clip after clip, page after page of news, line after line that never seems to end. You call it a bit of entertainment, relaxing before bed. But it is precisely then that the rhythm of life I placed in you is being disturbed, and the brain that should be entering stillness is forced to take in thousands more images and sounds. You turn off the lights later each night while the alarm still rings at the same time. Your sleep is shredded into pieces, and your brain has no room left to sort your memories, your emotions, and the things you have learned. The next day you wake with a head that feels heavy as stone, burning eyes, and a foul mood, not understanding why you are so easily irritated. My child, I do not blame you for turning to a screen when you are lonely or tired. I simply want you to know there is a deeper kind of rest, where I can smooth out the tight strands in your heart if you will put the phone down and let your body be still. I see the way you treat sleep as something optional, something you can cut without consequence. You are proud that you can stay up all night to finish work, to text, to play, to chase what you call opportunities. You think it proves you are diligent, ambitious, committed. But my child, when you keep shaving away your rest, you are cutting into the very time designed to heal you each day. In those hours of sleep, your body is repaired, your immune system strengthened, your brain washed of what is unnecessary and reorganizing what needs to be kept. When you steal that time away, not only does your body grow weaker, your soul also becomes more vulnerable to words, pressures, and temptations. I set the rhythm of day and night into this world to teach you to stop, not for you to try to break it as if it were a badge of honor. I also see the times you let yourself drown in worries until every breath is short and your heart races for reasons you cannot even name. You anxiously project into things that have not yet happened. You cling tightly to memories that have already passed. You blame yourself for old mistakes and believe you will never be good enough. The tension begins somewhere in your mind, but it flows into every fiber of your body, making your shoulders heavy, your neck rigid, your stomach knotted. You think these signs are just habits, just how you are, without realizing they are your body's cry for help. It is telling you it cannot take it anymore. My child, when you let stress rule day after day, you are allowing a false king to sit on the throne in the temple that belongs to me alone. I want to help you dethrone that king so that peace can return to its rightful place within you. I also see the times you seek refuge in things that only give you a brief rush, diversions taken to excess, habits that numb your mind instead of giving it true rest, choices you know will hurt you, and yet you keep trying to justify. You want to forget your troubles, so you lose yourself for a while in things that keep you from having to think. You want to escape the pressure, so you sink into activities that drown out the sound of your own heart crying out. But when that moment passes, you return to a more exhausted body, a more tangled soul, and a temple with a few more cracks. My beloved child, I do not reject you because of the places where you run and hide like this. I only want you to see that all the anesthetics you give yourself do not heal the wound. They only cover it so it can go deeper. I tell you these things not to shame you, but so that you will stop secretly condemning yourself in silence. What I want is not for you to look back on all your bad habits and sink into torment, but for you to dare to bring each of them before me. You can say to me, Lord, I have abused this body. I have lived carelessly. I have ignored the warning signals. I do not know how to love myself in the way you desire. I hear every confession from you without disgust, without turning away. I have already seen it all. But when you finally speak it out, you begin to step out of the deception that tells you, it's fine. Everyone is like this. My child, it is precisely when you dare to face your true condition that my healing light finally has room to enter. From that place of recognizing the truth, I call you home. Coming back does not mean turning back time or erasing every consequence, but beginning to walk in the right direction. Starting today, you may not be able to fix everything in a week or a month, but you can set out. You can begin by listening to your body when it is tired. You let it rest when it is hungry. You give it nourishing food when it is tense. You learn to breathe deeply and lay your worries down at my feet. You can practice choosing less of what makes you heavy and more of what helps you stay clear, light, and enduring. You can practice turning off the screen earlier so your sleep can be more complete and your brain can have the space I designed for it. Every small change is another brick you lay back in its rightful place in a temple that has been cracked. Do not think you must be perfect before you dare to bear witness to me or to your own journey of change. It is your in progress. You're still walking. You're still learning that truly touches others, because they are in the same place as you, not flawless, but longing to be made new. When you tell how you once neglected your body but are now learning to honor it as a gift from me, when you share that you once despised sleep but are now training yourself in new rhythms of rest, when you confess that you once ate and drank excessively because of your emotions but are now learning to eat with gratitude and greater awareness, those little details become living lines in the book of your life. And as others read that book, they may recognize themselves in it and quietly ask, if God could do this for them, perhaps He could also do it for me. The day you realize that your body is my temple, not a display piece for beauty, but a place for my presence and my work, you will begin to change the way you make even the smallest choices. You will no longer eat just for fun, sleep just to get through the day, or entertain yourself just to kill boredom, but start to see everything as part of worship. A moderate meal, a sufficient night's sleep, a quiet pause in your day to stop and listen to me. These are all silent hymns offered to me. When you live this way, your body is no longer a burden but an instrument, and your life, though very ordinary, becomes a clear testimony that I am still transforming people from the inside out. My child, I rejoice to see you taking these small steps on this journey, because each step not only saves your temple from being worn down, but turns it into a gentle, steady light for those who are groping in the dark, searching for a way home. I see what is being pressed down inside you, even the things you yourself sometimes choose to ignore just so you can keep running. Every time you worry beyond measure, chemicals in your body pour out like a thin smoke, invisible to the eye, slowly eroding the life within. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing grows shallow. Your stomach tightens. Your sleep turns restless, all of it crying out that you are living in a constant state of fight or flight, even though no wild animal is chasing you in the physical world. I did not create your body to endure unbroken tension day after day. I wove it together with a rhythm of work and rest, of wakefulness and stillness, of giving and being held. When you break that rhythm, you are like someone who keeps striking a drum without ever letting it rest. Eventually, the skin tears and the sound loses its clarity, becoming only a harsh, exhausted pounding. I say this not to rebuke you, but so that you will see that even when you are not paying attention, your body is faithfully sounding the alarm that you are out of rhythm. I also see how much you sit, glued to your chair, to your screen, to the work that never seems to end, while I created your body to move, to walk, to stretch, to let the blood flow like a river that does not stop. I gave you legs to walk, hands to work, a heart to beat strongly, lungs to breathe deeply and fully. Yet your lifestyle is turning them into tools that are rarely used. Muscles that are not challenged slowly waste away. Bones that are not supported grow weaker. Blood vessels that do not exercise grow sluggish in their flow. Then one day you are surprised, asking why you have so little strength, why a few flights of stairs leave you gasping, why you sometimes ache in places that never suffered any blow. My child, your body is speaking up, not to complain, but to cry for help. It is trying to tell you, I was made for life, not for slowly fading away in stillness. What saddens me most is not that you are tired or that your body is growing weaker. What breaks my heart is that you know all of this and still tell yourself you can go on like this a little longer. Deep down, you understand which choices are harming you. Staying up late for no real reason, eating and drinking just to fill yourself rather than to nourish, letting your mind drift endlessly in worry and comparison, ignoring small pains because they'll probably go away. You know you are spending your strength faster than it can be restored. You know your current habits are stealing the healthy years I desire for you. Yet you lull yourself with, tomorrow I'll be different. One day I'll start taking care of myself, as though you were the master of time, as though tomorrow were always waiting for you with its doors wide open. My child, every time you delay like this, you are signing off on one more day of erosion, not somewhere far away, but right within the very body that is the temple I have given you. I do not list these things to corner you in guilt, but to gently bring you face to face with the truth, like a father leading you out into the yard to show you the crack in the wall of the house you love. I want you to pause, not to blame yourself, but to begin to have compassion on yourself. When you admit that you have neglected your body, that is not the end of everything. It is the moment when I can start to heal you from the roots. Just as a potter cannot mend a cracked vessel if its owner insists it is still intact, I too am waiting for you to say to me, Lord, I have not treated your temple as it deserves. That confession opens the way for me to touch the deepest places in you, the places you thought no one could ever understand. I have not come to condemn you. I have come to lift you up and show you the way back. My child, do you remember how many times you have felt a very gentle whisper inside, rest a little, get up and walk around, don't eat more, you're looking for comfort in the wrong place. Go to sleep, leave the rest for tomorrow. That whisper is not random, not merely a passing thought. It is my voice speaking to you through your conscience, through your body, through those small discomforts you so often rush to silence with distraction. Each time you ignore that voice, you train yourself to mute me, and then you complain that you can no longer hear me. But I have never been silent. It is only that the noise of hurry, anxiety, excessive entertainment, and work piled over your head has surrounded you like a thick wall. I am still knocking, not with an iron hammer, but with the softest reminders, hoping you will turn back and look. If even now, deep within, you feel a small sting, some recognition, some quiet sorrow, some desire to live differently, that is exactly where I want to begin. I do not demand that you become perfect at once, without sickness, without fatigue, without mistakes. I know you are dust. I know you have limits. What I wait for is a heart willing to listen, a will willing to cooperate. Try speaking to me without ornate words, Lord. I am tired. I know I am hurting myself. Please help me stop. That alone is enough for me to begin working. From that simple prayer, I will slowly teach you how to reorder your rhythm of life, how to prioritize what matters, how to let go of what you thought you could never release. Transformation does not happen overnight, but day by day. If you allow me, I will rewrite the story you are living. You can begin with very small steps that many people consider insignificant. Instead of staying up one more hour to scroll through countless things that bring no peace, you can go to bed a little earlier, as a way of telling your body, thank you for serving me all day. Instead of skipping meals or eating in a rush just to be done, you can eat more slowly, more mindfully, giving thanks to me for each bite. Instead of sitting for hours, you can stand up, walk a little, stretch, small acts that show you value what I have placed within you. You will find that with only one habit changed, you create a new space for peace to slip in, for your breathing to deepen, for your mind to grow less restless. These steps may seem very human, very ordinary, but to me, they are holy footsteps, because they are protecting my temple. As your body gradually recovers through those small steps, something wondrous happens not only in your muscles, your heartbeat, your sleep, but also in your gaze and in the way you are present with others. Your loved ones will notice you are less irritable, less tense, more able to listen, more able to offer a gentle smile. Friends will see you no longer as someone always chasing urgency, but as someone fully present in conversation. Colleagues will sense a different steadiness in you, not steady because you are stronger than others, but because you begin to live within the rhythm of peace I give. You will not need to announce, I am caring for my body as God's temple, because that quiet change will be the clearest explanation. And in that way, simply by returning to yourself in a healthy way, you begin to become a living witness, not through speeches, but through presence. I want you to imagine your life as a lamp set in the middle of a home. When you are exhausted, that lamp flickers bright, then dim, its light weakening until it cannot truly illuminate anyone, not even you. But when you let me tend the flame through a rhythm that knows rest, movement, and spiritual nurture, that light becomes steady, warm, and stable. Those who step into the house of your life will feel that warmth, even if you say little. They will wonder why you can remain calm under pressure, why you no longer treat your body the way you once did, why your eyes are no longer as weary as before. And when they ask, you will have the chance to tell them not about how good you are, but about my patience and kindness, the one who did not abandon you in the days you were wearing yourself down, but waited for you to turn back. My beloved child, do not fear that the past days of looseness, tension, and lack of love toward yourself will steal your chance to testify about me. In truth, those days make your witness more honest. When you speak to someone who is staying up late in exhaustion and say, you understand, because you once lived that way. Your words carry weight. When you share with someone who is ignoring the warning signs of their body that you also once did the same, they will feel not judged but understood. And when you go on to tell how patiently I drew you out of that spiral through small steps, they will feel hope for themselves, because they will see if I have done that for you, I can do it for them as well, little by little, through that journey of change. Your whole life will become a letter written not with ink, but with daily choices. Every decision that honors your body, every time you learn to say enough to work, every moment you stop to breathe deeply and remember me, becomes a new line in that letter. Others will read it by watching you. They will see that someone is leading you into freedom instead of leaving you bound by pressure, fear, and self-destructive habits. And in that moment you will understand more deeply what I told you from the beginning when you stop wearing down your body. When you begin to care for my temple with reverence, your life is not only rescued from fracture, but becomes a place where others can look and find hope, peace, and my gentle invitation. And my child, so that you can feel the depth of what I am saying, I want you to imagine your life under a different light. If today you could see as I see, you would notice that above your life, it is as though an invisible countdown clock is recording whether your body is being worn down or restored by each small choice you make every day. Each sugary drink instead of water, each late night spent scrolling on your phone, each time you swallow your sadness rather than bring it to me little by little. That hand moves. I do not give you this image to frighten you, but to help you realize the length of time you live in. Health on this earth is closely tied to how you treat the temple I entrusted to you. You are telling a story through the rhythm you choose, and that story is either a hymn offered to me or the quiet lament of a body left unattended. If you could see that record, you would know there is no choice that is truly harmless. The way you have soothed yourself into believing, each rushed meal of processed food, each time you dismiss the recurring headache, each hour you let your mind drown in worry without rest, these are like small scratches on the walls of the temple. At first they are tiny cracks that no one notices, even you may not care. But I see clearly how they slowly spread, steadily and persistently, eroding the foundation from within. And at the same time, every time you choose something good for your body, drinking another glass of water, getting up to walk after studying, taking a deep breath and whispering my name in silence, you are laying new stones back onto the wall of that temple. You may not see the arithmetic of loss and gain, but I see it, I acknowledge it, and I rejoice. Because each time you choose what is right for your body, you are honoring me through a very practical form of worship. You may think, but I'm still young, my body can handle it, I'll fix it later. My child, that thought is what makes so many people slide further and further. The body is like a gentle friend, it endures for a long time. It tolerates much. It rarely complains loudly. But when it can no longer bear it, it must speak through clearer signals, pain that lingers, an irregular heartbeat, sleep that is no longer peaceful, breath that grows short. I do not send those signs to punish you, but as an alarm bell, as an urgent call, my child. Stop, look again at the way you are living. What I desire is not that you panic, but that you awaken, that you learn to stop in time before the damage becomes hard to restore. And I want you to learn something simple yet deep. Do not silence the bells in your body by ignoring them or forcing yourself to endure. Listen to them as you would listen to my reminders. Let me tell you about a son of mine named Min, who lived in a bustling city. He was diligent, always trying to do everything well. But for many years he traded his health for achievement. Breakfast was strong coffee and sweet pastries. Lunch was a hurried bite. Dinner was late. And then he stayed up deep into the night in front of a screen. He kept telling himself, just endure a few more years. Later I'll rest. One day, on his way home from work, Min felt tightness in his chest. His breathing grew heavy, and his vision dimmed for a few seconds. He assumed it was just fatigue and thought a painkiller would fix it. But that night he dreamed he was standing before a cracked temple walls, stained and broken, the stone floor trembling as if about to collapse. As he looked closely, he realized it was the image of his own body. In the dream he heard a voice, very gentle yet filled with authority. "Do you know how you are living with the gift I have given you?" He woke abruptly, his heart racing, sweat soaking his forehead, tears spilling as he realized he had neglected himself for far too long. The next morning, for the first time in many years, he went to see a doctor, and the results showed he was standing very near the edge of a serious illness if he did not change immediately. Min was not only afraid, he felt ashamed, because he understood that if he collapsed, his kind wife and small child would bear pain he could have prevented had he listened to my reminders sooner. Yet, my child, this is not a story with only darkness. From the moment Min understood, he chose not to keep playing the victim of his old life. He began with things so small they seemed unable to change anything: sleeping 1 hour earlier, walking slowly around the neighborhood each afternoon, eating more vegetables, cutting down sugary drinks, setting aside a few minutes each day to read my word instead of endlessly scrolling. He told his family about that dream, about the fractured temple, and the whole household began to change together. In the months that followed, his health improved little by little. The chest pain disappeared. His breathing grew deep again. His sleep became calmer. But more than that, his attitude toward himself and those he loved was renewed. He learned to say no to demands that were too much, to stop work in time so he could eat with his wife and child, to smile instead of frown when he came home. Friends saw how different he had become, and when they asked why, he said only one simple, sincere sentence: "I realize my body is God's temple, not a machine to be drained." That sentence, together with the clear change in his eyes and in his steps, made more than a few people begin to rethink the way they were living. You see, a life that once slid downward in neglect can still become a mirror reflecting my grace to many others. What bears the strongest witness is not a sharp argument, but a real person who has been tired, has been wrong, has been stubborn, and yet is willing to let me correct their path. I look at you the same way, my child. I have seen the nights you stayed awake until near dawn just to escape emptiness through an endless stream of videos. I know the days you ate only to get through the meal, eating under tension, not sensing whether you were nourishing or harming your body. I know the hours you lay down with no peace inside, your heart racing, your breath short, your thoughts spiraling until you wanted to escape in any way at all. I've not turned my back on you in those moments. On the contrary, I am very near, and I whisper, my child, this is not the way I want you to live. You deserve to be loved more than that, even by yourself. Do not think that to become a witness you must wait until you are perfect, without a scar or a fault. The people around you do not need a flawless statue. They need a real human being who can admit they were once weak, yet are being renewed. When you tell them there was a time you treated sleep lightly, dismissed your emotions, ate without restraint, lived under stress while never caring for your body, and then one day you allowed me to touch those chaotic places, your story becomes believable. They will see the unity between what you say and who you are, becoming calmer, gentler with yourself, more measured, more able to listen to your body and to my voice. Your witness does not rest in how many verses you can quote, but in whether you let that word sink into everyday habits, touching your sleep, your meals, your breathing, your rest, and the way you treat my temple. And one day, you will sit across from a friend who has worn out dark circles under their eyes, a heart full of anxiety, a mouth saying, "I'm fine," while inside they are already cracking. You will recognize in their eyes the person you used to be. When they say, "I just need to push a little longer," you will remember what I told you, and you will gently say, "I used to think like you, but I realized I was wearing myself down, and I decided to stop." In that moment, you become my extended hand, the voice I use to touch your friend's heart. You cannot save anyone, but you can point them to the road you yourself have walked, the road of returning to honor the body, to care for the soul, and to surrender the leadership of life back to me. That is living testimony without preaching. Light entering darkness through a truthful life. My child, I want you to understand something very important. I do not call you to change only so you may live longer for yourself, but so that your time on this earth may be meaningful. Each day you wake with a healthier body, a clearer mind, and a more peaceful heart is one more day you can love, support, and bring a wholesome influence to those around you. If you collapse early because of irresponsible choices with the temple I entrusted to you, not only you suffer loss, but those who could have been strengthened by you also lose a source of comfort. I want you to remain longer, healthier, steadier, not because I need you to do many things, but because I love you, and I know how many souls can be comforted simply by your presence. So, my child, from today on, whenever you stand before a choice that seems small, sleep a little more or stay up a little longer, eat in a rush or choose what truly nourishes, clutch your worries or lay them at my feet, sit motionless all day or stand and stretch, I invite you to pause for 1 second and ask, is this decision building or breaking God's temple within me? That question is not meant to condemn you, but to remind you who you belong to and how precious your body is. Each time you choose what builds, even if it is tiny, it is like a brick set back into a broken place, like a crack sealed with my healing oil. Little by little, walls that were once stained and weakened will become firm again. A roof that once leaked will be repaired, and in that temple, light will pour in, and those who pass through your life will sense something strange and beautiful in this place. There is peace, there is life, there is someone present, and then you yourself, with all your journey of fracture and restoration, will be living proof that when you stop wearing down your body, when you treasure the temple I have given, not only are you rescued, but many others also find a way back home. My child, there is something I want you to face directly. Even if it may sting a little, not everyone beside you truly wants you to be healthy and restored. Some have grown used to the picture of a person worn out, drained of life, always tired and yielding to habits that grind the body down. That image, without them realizing it, makes them feel safer about their own laxness. When you say no to food that harms your health, some will laugh and tease that you are overdoing it or making life too hard. But in truth, they fear seeing you change. Because if you are renewed, they no longer have an excuse to justify their own stagnation. When you refuse late-night gatherings filled with junk food and empty talk, some will say you are distant or cold. When you choose to exercise, choose to sleep early, choose to care for a body that has been exhausted, some will feel unsettled inside without knowing why. My child, I want you to recognize this, not so you will resent them, but so you will stop handing your destiny over to laughter, criticism, or irresponsible invitations. The power to decide still rests in your hands, and I am standing with you, not with the noise around you. I know there are relationships that once made you feel like you belonged, Yet in truth they only pulled you into a spiral of self-destruction. The person who keeps drawing you into binge eating, meaningless late nights, and habits that burn up your health does not truly love you the way I love you. When you try to choose what is better for your body, they mock you so you will return to the old place, because that way they don't have to feel the sting of their own lifestyle. You must understand this: real love does not shove another into ruin, nor does it bind them to patterns that will make them collapse sooner. Real love can rejoice when the other grows, becomes stronger, shines brighter, even if that forces us to face our own surrender. So when you begin to step out of the old way of living, I allow you to accept this truth. Some relationships will have to change. Some forms of closeness will need to loosen. And some kinds of fun will have to stop. That does not mean you no longer love those people. It means you stop letting them control the direction of your life. I want you to stand in love, but also to stand firm in wisdom, able to discern what is an invitation into life and what is a tug back toward the weary darkness of yesterday. My child, if you dare to enter the journey of honoring my temple within you through very concrete decisions, you will begin to see new signs appear in a body you thought was simply used to being tired. After a season of faithfulness, each morning you wake, you will realize you are no longer as weighed down as before. The pointless fatigue will lessen. Your breathing will deepen. Your heartbeat will grow calmer. The nights when you used to lie awake, eyes wide open while your mind tangled itself in turmoil, will gradually be replaced with more restful sleep, even if at first it is only a little more quietness. You will notice your emotions steadier. The sudden sadness, the irritability from exhaustion will come less often, and you will begin to have inner space to hear my whisper. Your body, which once clung to layers of fat like a protective armor against stress, will start to loosen its grip. The inner measures you cannot see with your eyes will slowly move toward balance. One day you will look back and be surprised. So all this time, I have endured fatigue, aches, gloom, as if that were normal when you never made me to live like this. And when this awareness breaks open, you will feel both sorrow and gratitude. Sorrow for the days you lost, and gratitude because from here you have stepped onto a different path. But my child, I do not want you to naively assume everything will flow gently with no resistance. Whenever you decide to leave what destroys you, darkness will not applaud and send you off. It will thrash, cling, and intensify temptation. In the early days when you choose healthier eating, sudden cravings may crash over you more fiercely than you expected, making you think you cannot endure. When you set your heart on sleeping earlier, work, messages, invitations, or meaningless videos may pull at you far more than they ever did before. When you begin to exercise, there will be moments your body aches, your strength feels drained, and the familiar voice in your head whispers, "Just quit, it isn't worth it, you've lived like this until now." Darkness is not afraid of someone with only vague wishes, but it truly grows uneasy when you step into action, when you turn the dream of serving me into specific choices each day. I need you to recognize the source of those voices so you do not confuse them. Not every thought in your mind comes from you. Some thoughts are arrows quietly fired into your thinking, trying to make you doubt the good decisions I have set with you. When you hear, "You tried and failed before, this time will be the same," remember that is not me speaking. When you hear, "It's too late, your body is already damaged, what good is change now?" that is not me either. When you are persuaded that eating and sleeping healthy like that is extreme, it's harsh, calmly examine it. Is that voice urging you to remain on a road that will lead to burnout, illness, and a heart full of regret? I have not assigned you a life of torment. I give you a healthy pattern of living so you have strength to enjoy the life I give. To laugh more, breathe lighter, work better, and love more fully. My child, this battle is not merely about what you eat, when you sleep, or how you train deep underneath. It is a spiritual battle about whether you will live whole or accept fading early. The enemy of your soul wants you dragging a worn-out body, a shadowed mind, a heavy heart, so you no longer have strength to dream of what I call you toward, no longer able to hear my voice clearly. It does not necessarily want you to collapse in a single day. It is content to watch you slowly erode, quietly, as long as you never live as fully as I intended. It wants your best years bound in fatigue and sickness, so all your energy is spent merely to survive instead of to live. But I, the one who was crucified and rose again for you, do not look at you as a pitiful weakling. I see you as a warrior belonging to the light, and your body as an instrument through which that light can enter places that are still dark. When your body is cared for rightly, you do not merely become healthier in a shallow sense. New energy helps you keep a steady rhythm of prayer. A clear mind helps you discern what is my voice and what is deception. Endurance enables you to persist in what I entrust to you instead of quitting halfway. A strengthened body becomes a foundation for a steadfast heart. When you are no longer tossed around by constant aches produced by harmful living, you gain room in your mind to consider the plans I want you to carry out, to notice the needs of the person beside you, to rise when I tell you to stand. You become a threat to darkness not because you are perfect, but because you have given me both body and soul, and you refuse to let any destructive habit rule you again. I also want you to know that in this journey, you are not alone. I walk with you in each small choice when you set your phone down to sleep, when you say that's enough for today to a meal, when you choose to walk a few laps instead of staying glued to a chair, when you drink another mouthful of water instead of reaching again for what only helps you forget your weariness for a moment. I am there, not only watching, but supplying strength. In moments when cravings rise like waves, you can whisper, Lord, be with me in this moment, and I will add to you a little calm, a little clarity to pass through that wave. Each time you overcome a small temptation, even simply refusing a food you know will leave you exhausted, I rejoice as if a new stone has been set back into its rightful place in my temple. My child, though you may have neglected yourself, immersed yourself in destructive habits, listen to the lie that says you are unworthy. I have not changed my mind about you. I do not rewrite your story with ink of condemnation, but with ink of mercy. The days behind you may bear the mark of weariness, but the days ahead I want to seal with restoration. You are not bound by how long you have been wrong, if today you choose to return to a way of living that honors the temple within you. History begins to turn. Do not label yourself too broken, too late, too old, or too weak to change. No two is beyond the reach of my grace. I have renewed lives that seemed far more shattered than yours. I can, and I will, do the same for you if you give me not only your soul, but also this body, for me to care for, repair, and use for good. So, my child, as you continue, walk like someone who knows their worth in my eyes. You no longer have to prove anything to anyone by wasting your health. You also do not need to wait for everyone's approval before you dare to live differently. You only need to know that each time you love your body with wisdom, you are answering yes to my call, cooperating with me as I rebuild the temple within you. And as that temple grows steadier, more beautiful, filled with light, the people around you will notice something without you needing to say a word. Someone is living within you, making you new, and inviting them too to step away from their own self-destructive patterns. Then each peaceful breath, each steady step, each healthy choice of yours becomes a gentle invitation. I send into this world, come and see. My work is not finished. I am still turning cracked temples into places overflowing with new life. From the moment you let your heart touch these words and truly respond, the unseen world around you has already changed in ways your eyes cannot fully grasp. The space you once assumed was merely four familiar walls has become a spiritual front line, where I and my angels take note of the quiet yet honest decision in your heart. The words you just whispered, though small, have sounded before my throne like a new declaration. You no longer want to keep wearing yourself down as you did before, and as your intention turns, the currents that once dragged you toward fatigue, sickness, and sin begin to weaken. From what seems like a simple choice in a brief moment, a new chain of movement has been activated in the realm I rule, where every intention that turns back toward life is treasured more than you imagine. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you to the truth that you are not small and meaningless as you have thought. When you choose to step away from habits that are causing your body to decline, those who once rejoiced at watching you wear yourself out are forced to retreat. The dark schemes that whispered, "It's fine, neglect yourself, let your health waste away," can no longer stand comfortably in place, because I have called them into the light. The invisible cords that bound your thoughts, making you believe you are not worthy of care, begin to lose their power when you accept that your body is my temple. I do not exaggerate or threaten you, my child, but I want you to understand each time you stand on the side of life, you not only change yourself, you also push back the darkness that wants to leave its mark on your story. And the angels I have placed around your life are not merely beautiful images in books, they are servants I send to uphold, protect, and help you on this new road. When you ignored caring for your health, they still kept watch, but it was as though their hands were tied by your own choices. You always had the freedom to continue exhausting yourself. Now, as you lean toward the light, you have given them a new ground to intervene, a heart that agrees with my will. They will not appear before your eyes, yet you will sense gentle shifts, a clearer thought in the middle of a sleepless night, an urge to turn the screen off, a strange desire to drink more water, to step outside and breathe, to sleep earlier, to say, "Enough, I need rest." Those nudges are not random. That is how I use my angels, my word, and my spirit to guide you out of the old rut. Little by little, within your body, I placed wondrous mechanisms of recovery from the first day I formed you in your mother's womb. Your muscles were not made to endure unending tension, but to move, to work, and then to rest. Your mind was not built to continually absorb images, information, comparisons, and pressure without quietness to settle and heal. When you live against that design, staying up late for days, eating unpredictably, letting anxiety swallow each meal, letting anger and self-accusation drain your strength, your body must cry for help through signals of fatigue, pain, and imbalance that you sometimes treat as normal. But now, as you begin to honor the limits I placed in your flesh, like a faithful steward caring for a precious temple, you will start to sense what seems small, deeper breaths, less broken sleep, reduced pain, thoughts that are less foggy, not because you are strong enough on your own, but because you are stepping back into the natural flow of my grace. I do not promise you that every health issue will vanish in an instant, for I do not use you as an experiment to display miracles. I love you too much to reduce you into a pretty story that is not true. What I am doing in you is deeper. I am teaching you to live again as one who reigns with me, honoring your body, listening to your soul, recognizing the signals that have long existed but you ignored. When you answer me, it is not only your spirit that is touched, the deep layers within you, from cells to thoughts, from heartbeat to the way you see yourself, begin moving under a new order. You will find yourself no longer condemning, "I'm weak, I'm useless each time you are tired, but learning instead to say, I need rest. Because this body is God's home, I will care for it as a gift. This is a kind of healing without fireworks, yet more lasting than anything quick and fleeting. In the days ahead, people around you will sense something has changed. Even if they cannot name it, it may come as a passing comment, you look brighter lately. You seem so much calmer. Why does your smile feel so light today? Do not dismiss those words, and do not assume they are mere politeness. Receive them as a mirror I hold up to you, so you can see that the outer world is already reflecting the renewal within. Your expression, your eyes, the way you listen and answer everything is being reshaped to fit the true person I intended you to be. When you hear such words, remember, they are not only human judgment, but a gentle sign I send to encourage you. You are walking the right road, leaving the land of self-destruction, stepping into the land of life. I know there will also be days when you feel you have slipped, when it seems you have returned to old habits, when you want to quit because I'm too weak, I can't hold this. Do not let those moments become evidence to condemn yourself. Instead, see them as the stumbles of someone learning to walk again after a long season of dragging their feet. A child falling does not disappoint me. What brings me joy is that the child stands up, looks up, and keeps going, knowing the Father's hand is still reaching out. When you stumble, you do not return to the starting line. You are learning another lesson about limits and weakness, so you understand more deeply that you need me. Each time, instead of sinking into guilt and shame, you can come to me and say, Father, I'm tired again. I failed again. But I won't run away. Please take my hand again. I will never grow weary of words like that. Do not underestimate your small daily choices, because they are writing a living testimony you carry everywhere you go. When you refuse to overwork, even if someone pressures you because you know your body needs rest, you are telling the world your God is not achievement, but the one who loves you completely. When you choose a wholesome meal instead of wasting yourself in things that weaken your health, you are preaching that this body does not belong to a culture of excessive indulgence, but to the one who paid for it with his own life. When you learn to say no to relationships, activities, and habits that pull you away from peace, you are proving your faith is not only on your lips, but has flowed into the concrete decisions of your life. People will see that even if you never stand behind a pulpit even once in your lifetime, my child, I want you to understand that your story, with its scars, its seasons of depletion, its moments when you wanted to give up, is not something to be ashamed of, but precious material I use to reach others. There will be people who cannot open their hearts to the most eloquent sermons, yet they will quietly open when they hear you say, Once, I was just like you. I lived as though this body were not a temple. I stayed up late, ate carelessly, lived in constant tension, and let my strength drain away, but the Lord drew me out. Little by little, when you tell it, not as a display of achievement, but with humility and honesty, the tears in your eyes will become part of the message no language can fully express. Those who listen will know that what you speak is not theory, but experience purchased with years and with tears. And it is this that makes them believe the healing grace you received can also be theirs. I see farther than what you can see in the present. I see in you a vital point of connection for your whole family, for generations. When you decide not to continue a self-eroding way of life, you are ending a chain of repeated wrong choices, perhaps from your parents' lives, your grandparents, or from your own youth. You are placing a full stop on old patterns, working to exhaustion and then collapsing, enduring in silence and then breaking, neglecting the body and wondering why the mind finds no peace. This change touches not only your present body, but also plants a new model for those younger who are watching you, your siblings, your future children, younger people in the faith community. When they see you live differently, they will have another path to choose, without having to relearn the mistakes you endured. Gradually, your life will be like a lamp whose glass has been wiped clean. The light within was always there, long obscured by the dust of weariness, and now it shines more clearly. That light is not the light of your willpower, but the light of the one who dwells in the temple, that is your body. When others draw near, they will not only feel at ease because you listen and understand, but because they encounter a gentle presence that even you may marvel at. Why did I not have this peace before? I will use you in small conversations, in simple messages, in moments when you sit beside someone who is falling apart, to carry through you this message. You are not abandoned. There is still a way back, still a chance to rebuild the temple that has been cracked. And so the journey you are walking, beginning with looking again at how you treat yourself, moving toward choosing life, and learning to care for body and soul as my temple, does not end with you. It opens like a narrow path through dense forest, so that those lost behind you may see your footprints and dare to follow. Every step you take with me now not only rescues you from a withering end, but opens a new way of living for many who are quietly wearing themselves down without daring to cry for help. I hold your hand on this journey not only because I love you, but because through you I want many others to know this. The temple of God was not created to crack and be abandoned, but to be rebuilt, sanctified, and filled with life until every breath, every step, every day you live becomes a silent yet powerful offering of praise to me. My child, even now, as you sit quietly reading these words, I want you to understand that this is not merely a passing moment among thousands in your life. This is a marker, a moment in which I gently place my hand on your shoulder and say, pause, look back for a moment, and then walk on with a new heart. For a long time you have lived, smiled, worked, yet deep within you knew that your soul and body were no longer moving in the same rhythm. You dragged yourself through late nights, hurried meals, buried emotions, and you called it trying. But my child, I did not create you merely to survive, but to live fully in love and purpose. I have seen every night you stayed up until exhaustion, every time you forced yourself to be strong while inside you were nearly empty. I have seen it all. I understand it all, and I come not to condemn you, but to give you a new chance to choose your future again. If you could see the full picture of your life from beginning to end, you would recognize that there are small turning points that alter the direction of a long road, and this moment is one of them. You often think the future is shaped by big decisions: what career to choose, whom to love, where to live, but I tell you that it is the seemingly harmless daily habits that quietly redraw who you become. Each time you say, "It's fine, I'll fix it tomorrow," about your health, your rest, the limits I placed within your body, you quietly remove a brick from the wall of that temple. One day, the cracks can no longer be hidden. They appear as pain, exhaustion, and a troubled mind you cannot explain. I do not want you to wait until the wall collapses to awaken. So I use this gentle moment to draw you out of the old orbit before what you have dismissed becomes what breaks you. Do not think the words I speak are merely comforting phrases to get you through. They are the call of a father who knows every corner of you. I know the moments when you are so tired you want to give up, to let your body drift back into old habits because change feels too hard. I know the evenings when you tell yourself, "Just this once," and then allow it again, only to wake the next morning with a vague regret and no idea where to begin again. I do not come to scold you for repeating mistakes. I come to take your hand at the very place you have fallen and whisper within you, "You can still choose again. It is not too late." What I offer you today is not a verdict, but a door slightly open to a future of healing. If you dare to step through in obedience, beloved child. You often think strength belongs to those who are never weak, but in my kingdom, true strength belongs to those who dare to face their fragility and place it in my hands. You have tried many times to change yourself by sheer willpower, making beautiful plans, promising much, only to return to old patterns after a few days. You grew disappointed in yourself and slowly came to believe that this is all you could ever be. But that voice is not mine. It is the whisper of darkness urging you to settle for less than what I intend for you. I do not ask you to become a flawless model without scars. I want you to be a child who clings to the Father, who leans on my Spirit to be transformed step by step. What I seek is not dazzling achievement, but a faithful heart willing to walk with me day by day, ready to rise again even after falling. Imagine, my child, if from today you begin to see your body as a close companion rather than something to drag or battle against. A companion cannot be spoken to harshly, forced, or neglected indefinitely and still remain, just as your body cannot be endlessly exploited and remain whole. When you eat more mindfully, sleep in peace rather than collapsing from exhaustion, take a few moments to breathe deeply and remember that I look at you with gentle eyes. Your body will slowly respond with renewal. It is not betraying you. It is simply sounding the alarm that it has borne too much. I want you to learn to treat yourself as I treat you, not with contempt or cruelty, but with love and correction, gentleness and firmness together. I have placed within you the capacity to change, and when you choose to love your body as I teach, you are laying a firm foundation again for my temple within you. I want you to know that you are not a helpless victim of old habits. Deep within you, I have placed the power of choice, and no one can take it from you when you place it back in my hands. Each time you say no to what quietly drains your body and soul, even in a small way, you reclaim a measure of authority it once held over you. Each time you rise a few minutes earlier to pray, refuse something harmful and replace it with a healthier choice, you are whispering to heaven and earth, I choose life. I choose to walk with the Father. These choices may go unseen and unpraised, but in eternity they resound like chains being broken and dark doors opening to light. My child, I do not stand far away observing. I am right beside you in every hesitation, every inner struggle, every moment you feel too weak to continue. When your will grows weary, I supply strength. When your heart grows discouraged, I comfort. When your steps slow, I walk at your pace so you will not feel alone. You are not fighting deep-rooted habits by yourself, nor facing the seductive pull of old ways alone. All of heaven stands with you. I, my son, and my spirit lean toward you, waiting for each choice to return. I have placed my spirit within you as comforter, teacher, and reminder, so you need not rely on fragile memory or fleeting emotion. The one within you is greater than every outward pressure, greater than mocking voices, greater even than the inner voices that once tried to convince you that you could never change. My child, cherish this gift. Do not dismiss the awakenings I place in your heart as passing feelings. Do not rush past serious thoughts about the future of your body and soul as unnecessary pauses. The moment you read this is a moment in which I open a new door for you. You may step through and begin a different journey, or turn back and continue the old path. But I long for you to courageously take one step toward the light. Choose to care for your body, to honor the limits I set, to rest as an act of worship, to listen to pain and fatigue as letters I send inviting you to slow down. Your body does not oppose my purposes. It was created to serve them with you. When you cherish it, you are preparing a durable instrument for the good works I have already prepared for you. Every choice you make today quietly shapes who you will become in the years ahead. I do not force you onto a path, for I love you enough to honor the freedom I gave you. But I love you enough to say clearly no choice is neutral. Either you build or you dismantle. Either you guard the temple or allow it to crack through repeated small things that don't matter. You may continue to treat your body as a disposable object, or begin to see it as a treasure to steward wisely. You may ignore gentle reminders, or open your heart for me to guide you step by step into a new journey. The future does not simply fall upon you, it is woven from the fine threads of daily decisions. And I want to weave with you a future full of life, not one fractured by neglect of yourself. My child, if right now a very small voice within you says, I want to live differently, that itself is a precious beginning. That whisper, placed in my hands, will grow into a renewed heart. You do not need to shout or prove anything to anyone. Simply tell me quietly that you want to honor your body more, to end the self-eroding ways you once called normal. You may mark today as a milestone, saying in prayer, from here on, I want to cooperate with the Father to rebuild this temple. You may share with a faithful person who can walk with you, pray for you, and encourage you. For I did not design you to walk alone. And as these words close, you can choose one concrete action, remove something harmful, rearrange your rest, prepare a nourishing meal, or simply go to bed earlier than usual. These small things are often the doors to an entirely new life. I look at you and I know you can do this not because you possess extraordinary resolve, but because I am with you in every moment. I have gone before you on the path of transformation. I have borne every burden on my Son, so you may walk lighter and freer. I bless every small decision you are about to make, and I rejoice each time you honor my temple by caring for body and soul. From this moment, healing is no longer distant or vague. It has begun in how you think of yourself, how you see this body, how you take the next steps. Go forward, my child, not in fear, but in confidence that my hand is firmly holding yours. Your life, your body, your future, all are being rewritten by me with the ink of grace, line by line, word by word. And if you allow me to lead, we will walk together until the temple within you shines, becoming a living testimony that I am the giver of life, the restorer, and the one who never abandons you, not for a single moment. My child, understand this: I have never demanded a perfect, unblemished life from you. What I desire is an honest life, one that dares to let my light reach even the hidden corners. When you step out of self-destruction and habits that erode the body, you show the world that I am stronger than every chain that once bound you. Others will look at your journey and know that if I could change you, I can change them too. Do not fear telling of the days you were exhausted and worn down, but tell them with gratitude that you are no longer there. Each honest telling, without embellishment or concealment, places another living stone into the spiritual temple I am building in this world. You may think your private choices affect no one, but my child, no decision is truly private. When you treat your body as cheap, you unknowingly teach others to devalue themselves. When you honor your body as my temple, others will ask, why does this person value themselves so deeply? And from that question, a door opens for you to share me without force. A nourishing meal, proper rest, a decision to stop before exhaustion, each can become a gentle invitation. You too can live differently. If you let God touch you, never underestimate the reach of a restored life, even when it begins with the smallest steps. My child, you may think that to bear witness you must speak brilliantly. know much, and possess great theology. I do not despise these things, but what I seek first is not eloquent lips, but an obedient heart, one who lives in balance, who rests in me, who loves themselves rightly, often speaks little, yet carries great weight. When they share, their words are not theory but experience marked by sweat and tears, which I have wiped dry and turned into fragrant oil. So it is with you as you allow me to reorder the chaos of your life. You allow me to write a sermon that only you can preach, and it begins with your very body, the temple I have preserved, though it has been cracked many times by your own hands. Imagine, my child, someone you love quietly repeating the very paths you once walked, working to exhaustion, eating erratically, staying up nights in anxiety, using harmful habits to escape fatigue. They may not speak it, but inside they are crying for help. Empty advice will not reach them. But when they see you, who once lived the same, now able to stop in time, to care for your body as a gift, to choose rest instead of self-destruction, they will find hope. For before their eyes stands proof that change is real, that God is not only on the page, but present in the smallest daily choices. My child, your life is like a lamp set on a stand, not meant to be hidden under a table. I did not place you in the midst of family, friends, and community merely for you to get by, but for you to become light. That light does not need to blaze, and it certainly does not need to show off. It only needs not to go out. Each time you choose what is right for your body, whether leaving a bad habit, caring for your health, or learning to rest, that lamp is given more oil. And when the winds of life blow, others will see in you a peace steadier than circumstances. Right then, you are doing the work of bearing witness, sometimes without even realizing it, simply by being yourself in the restoration I give. I know there will be days when you are still tired, still stumble, still stay up too late, still feel old choices return to pull you down. I am not surprised, and I am not disappointed by that, because I understand you in a way you yourself cannot fully understand. What I gently invite you to do is not to quit because of a few failures. A true witness is not someone who has never gone wrong, but someone who, even after falling, returns to me so that I may lift them up, cleanse them, and keep teaching them how to live rightly. When you are weak, if you run to me instead of hiding from me, even those moments become part of the story of restoration that one day you will use to comfort other hearts. My child, I want you to remember this: your body, even when weary, is the place I have chosen to dwell. When you care for it, you are not merely maintaining your health, but restoring the temple to be worthy of my presence. A temple that is clean, full of light, and carefully kept is always a place that draws weary souls seeking shelter. In the same way, as your life is gradually put back in order, more regular sleep, a gentler rhythm, a mind less chaotic, those around you will feel safe in your presence. They may not know how to explain it, but they will sense, being near this person, my heart feels more at peace. And that very peace is a gentle introduction to me. I also see the tears you hurriedly hid when you felt unworthy to do anything for me. You thought, can I really become a witness, Lord? And that question made you shrink back, afraid to step forward. But, my child, I do not choose by the world's standard of perfection. I choose cracked jars so that I may pour my glory into them, so that anyone who sees will know it is my work, not your own strength. If you wait until you feel completely okay before you dare to testify, you will never begin. I want to use even your unfinished journey, small changes, uneven steps to show others this: I am patient, I am merciful, and I walk with people through every stage, not only standing at the finish line. Practice retelling your life story in a new tone, not the voice of complaint, and not the voice of pride, but the voice of gratitude. Tell how there were times you wore down your own body, locked yourself inside wrong choices, but also tell how I did not abandon you there. Speak of evenings when you were so exhausted you could only whisper a short prayer, and then the next morning you woke with a little new strength you could not explain. Tell how you learned again how to eat, how to sleep, how to stop, how to listen when your body cried for help, not because you had strong willpower, but because I gently led you. When you speak like this, you become an honest mirror for others. They look and see that if I reshaped your life, I can touch theirs as well. People can argue with theories, but it is very hard to argue with a life that has truly changed. When someone who once lived recklessly learns self-control, someone who once wasted their health learns to care for their body, someone once anxious learns to rest in me, someone once procrastinating learns to begin what is right, that very life becomes undeniable evidence. That is why I call you not to despise small steps, not to despise caring for your body, not to despise simple decisions like sleeping early, drinking enough water, pausing to pray before rushing into work. All of it, stitched together over time, will form a completely different picture, the picture of one who belongs to me, who knows they are my temple, and who lives in a way that fits that truth. And finally, my child, I want you to engrave this in your heart. This journey is not only a story between you and yourself, it is a story between me and you. And through you, it becomes a story between me and those you will touch. When you allow me to restore your body and spirit, you are quietly agreeing to let me use your life as a letter sent to the world. In that letter, every line is written with the times you fell and rose again, the times you grew weary and learned to rest, the times you were weak and came to me. And when someone reads that letter, their life may turn in a new direction you never expected. So then, beloved child, do not take yourself lightly, and do not take lightly the restoration journey you are walking with me. Your body is not a temporary burden, but the temple I have chosen. Your life is not merely a private story, but living evidence of my love for humanity. Keep walking even slowly, but do not stop. Keep caring for yourself even simply, but do not let go. Keep allowing me to continue writing your story, even when you do not yet understand it all. And one day, when you look back, you will realize every drop of sweat, every tear, every small effort to guard this temple has not been meaningless, because, through it all, I have used you to shine a gentle portion of my glory upon the earth. Do you know, when I begin healing you from the inside, I am not thinking only of you. I always look farther, to other faces that will be touched by the very light returning to your eyes. There are people watching you without your knowing. They notice how you respond when tired, how you choose between giving up and getting up, how you treat your body when pressure rises. They may say nothing, but their hearts are quietly recording that something has changed in you. And that something, my child, is the seed of a living testimony that I am planting through your life. Do not think your story has value only when you are perfect. I have never waited for a perfect person to use, because if I did, on this earth I could call no one. I used Abraham while he was still learning how to trust. I used Moses even though he once ran away and said he was slow of speech. I used Peter, though he denied me 3 times. What I seek is not a spotless past, but a heart willing to let me enter, touch, and repair. When you allow me into the darkest places within you, those very places become the clearest light for others to see. There is something I want you to ponder. People often trust less the advice spoken by someone who has never suffered, but they listen closely to someone who dares to be honest about their stumbles, and then tells how I helped them stand again. When you speak of how you once neglected your body, suppressed your emotions, let tomorrow deceive you, tried blindly to push through, and then you add how I taught you to slow down, to love yourself rightly, to take small steps, to learn to rest in my peace, your story becomes deeply close to them. They see themselves in you, and because of that they dare to believe that what I have done for you, I can do for them. Many times, my child, you hesitate to open your heart because you fear being judged. You fear they will think you are weak, lacking faith, or not living well enough. But I see you differently. I see a courageous child, willing to bring fractured parts into the light so I may heal them. Darkness only has power when it is hidden. Once you bring it before me, it begins to lose its strength. And when you do this not only in private prayer, but also through sharing your journey with trustworthy people, you open a door for them to do the same. Then restoration is no longer only a personal story, it becomes a spreading wave. Remember the one I delivered from demons in the region of the Gerasenes. He once lived among tombs, bound in chains that no one could hold. His body marked by harm. People feared him, avoided him, considered him hopeless and cast out. But when I rescued him, he was sitting, clothed, and in his right mind. And the first thing I did was not take him away from that place, but send him home to tell all I had done. I did not tell him to hide his past. I told him to use that very past as a lamp for those who once feared him. My child, I also want to use what once felt like your shame to become a testimony of my transforming power. Little by little, you will see that the way you care for your body is also preaching something. When you rest without guilt, others will understand that someone is carrying the heaviest burdens for you. When you choose wholesome food, not from obsession with appearance, but from honoring my temple within you, others will learn that loving yourself rightly is not selfish. When you go to bed on time, learn to say enough to work. Pause to pray instead of forcing more in panic. You are proving that you are not a slave to pressure, but my child, that is witnessing through rhythm of life, not through speeches. I want you to understand a gentle truth. Every small habit you change because you love me is a confession of faith. When you leave a habit that quietly harms your body, you are saying, I believe God's plan is better than temporary comfort. When you dare to see a doctor, dare to ask for help, dare to admit you are not okay and need guidance, you are saying, I believe God wants me healed, not merely enduring. To outsiders, these choices may look ordinary, but before me they shine like candles in the night, and those candles will guide the ones who come after you. You may not immediately see someone change because they watched you, but I see it. I see the friend who quietly asks, why do you seem more at peace lately? I see the family member who wonders, how can you rest and still have things be okay? I see the messages, the conversations, the moments when someone comes to you with a tiny question you never expected would open a door for me to enter their heart. I use each sincere answer you give, each patient smile, each I used to be like you too. But now the Lord is changing me to paint a portrait of me, the one who does not only save the soul, but restores the whole person. And my child, even on the days you are still unsteady, I can still use you. Do not wait until you are fully stable before allowing yourself to become encouragement for others. The very fact that you are still on the journey, still learning, still stumbling, yet returning to me already testifies powerfully that grace is not only for those who are already healed. Grace is most needed in the middle of the road. When someone wants to quit, when they cannot see a way out, When you say, "I'm not perfect, but each day the Lord is leading me one more step," you hand them hope that they can begin too, even if right now they feel unready. I know there are wounds on your body and in your heart that make you think, "I will never get better in this lifetime." But in my hands, no wound is meaningless. I do not erase the past as though it never happened. I transform it into part of the victory story I write with you. Just as the body of Jesus, after the resurrection, still bore the marks of the nails, no longer pain, yet still a trace, so it is with your story. The scar remains, but it is no longer a bleeding wound. It becomes evidence of love, of protection, of the times you thought you were finished, but I lifted you up. And through those marks, others will recognize that a very gentle hand has touched you. Imagine a younger sibling, a friend, or a loved one repeating the same exhausting road you once walked. They stay up late, work until they are drained, eat carelessly, abandon body and mind, thinking it is the only way to survive. I do not want you to stand by in silence. I want you to draw near, not with judgment, but with the compassion of one who has been there. You can say, "I used to be like that too, until I realized my body is God's temple, and if I keep grinding it down, I am hurting the one who loves me most." Words like that, joined with real change in your life, will be stronger than any sermon. And my child, when you allow your life to become a witness, I do not only use you to lift others, I also use others to keep you standing. When someone tells you, "Seeing you change gave me the motivation to rebuild my life," that sentence becomes a gentle reminder on the days you want to give up. You will remember you do not live only for yourself, but also for those searching for a reason to keep going. I let my children support one another, remind one another, walk together. No one must be alone on the journey of protecting the temple I have placed within the body. In time, when you sit and look back on the road you have traveled, you will realize what is most precious is not how strong you once were, but how you allowed me to go deep into your weakest places. From one who once wore their own body down, you will become one who treasures every breath, every peaceful night of sleep, every moment of calm. From one who once delayed what was right, you become one who learns to begin quietly. From one who once thought healing had to be something grand, you become one who is grateful for the smallest steps I lead. From one who once saw rest as a luxury, you learn that peace is the environment where you can live healthily. And from one who once felt their life had nothing worth telling, you become one who tells my story through your breath, your eyes, your footsteps. I am with you in every smallest movement of that journey. Wherever you are, still used to wearing yourself down, just realizing the trap of delay, taking the first steps of healing, or beginning to taste peace, I remain patient and do not leave you. Each time you choose to return, even faintly, I receive you. Each time you choose to love your body a little more because you know it is my temple, I rejoice. Each time you share even a small part of your story to strengthen someone else, I stand there, placing my hand upon your words and your gaze. My child, keep letting me write the next part of your life, so that when others look at you, they will recognize this here as a temple that once was cracked, yet has been restored by the Creator with a love that never grows weary. My child, have you noticed that even a very small change in you can soften the atmosphere in your home when you learn to stop at the right time, to rest instead of snapping in irritation? When you choose to pray in silence instead of arguing, those who live beside you will slowly sense a strange and gentle peace. They may not be able to name it, but they will see you are not like before, not as impulsive as before, not as self-destructive as before. That quiet transformation makes them begin to ask about me, about the one who has touched your life, I love using the most ordinary things: meals, sleep, smiles, the way you live at home, to become a living sermon of my love. One day, when you step outside, go to school, to work, or simply meet your friends, your life is already quietly preaching. People watch how you manage your time, how you know to stop when you are tired, how you say no to pleasures that drain your strength and your mind. They may tease you. They may not understand. But deep inside, they long to be like you, to know what is enough, what is healthy, what it means to guard my temple within themselves. My child, every time you choose what is right instead of what is easy, you are bearing witness that I am good enough for you to obey. And slowly, that quiet perseverance of yours will become a gentle invitation to souls who are weary but not yet brave enough to admit it. I also see you living in a time when everyone's eyes are turned to social media, where people often try to appear more okay, more beautiful, stronger than they really are. Many are willing to harm their own bodies, stay up through the night, chase trends they themselves know are unhealthy, just to gain a little more attention and approval. But if you choose differently, choose to post what is true, choose not to cheer for a way of living that burns people out, you choose to share your journey of recovery with humility, you are showing the world another path. Not loud, not boastful, but full of light. Then your personal page will no longer be a place to perform, but a small corner where others can feel the warmth that comes from me, my beloved child. I know there are seasons of your life you wish no one would ever see again, the days of exhaustion, the nights when your pillow was soaked with tears, the moments you treated your body and mind like enemies. You think those pages should be torn out, thrown away, buried so no one can ever read them. But I look at those very pages as a precious part of the book I am writing with you. When I heal you, I do not erase the past. I turn the past into the foundation for grace. And when you dare to face those chapters under my light, you will no longer be ashamed, but begin to realize, right here is where I was carried by the Lord in my weakness. Think of Peter, who once boldly promised he would never deny me, and yet denied me 3 times in a single night. Afterward, he was in agony and shame, and perhaps he thought he would never again be worthy to be a disciple. Yet I came to him on the shore, grilled fish, prepared breakfast, and gently asked him 3 times, "Do you love me?" I did not erase the memory of his denial, but I touched it and turned it into a new starting point. From a man who once collapsed in fear, Peter became a courageous witness, using his own story to strengthen others who also trembled. My child, your falls can also become material to build others up when they are placed in my hands. When you begin to understand this, you will no longer see yourself as a mistake that needs to be hidden, but as a living illustration of grace. You will become less harsh toward yourself, less quick to speak heavy words of judgment over your body and mind. Instead, you will learn to speak to yourself the way I speak to you. You are my beloved temple, though you have cracked and broken. I am patiently rebuilding you. From there, it will become easier for you to look at others with eyes of compassion rather than judgment. You will understand that everyone has invisible dark corners, unnamed weariness, and when you choose gentleness, you are letting them feel a small part of my heart. There are people around you who may never step into a church, never hold a Bible in their hands, yet they are reading a Bible written by the way you live each day. They read it in how you react when you are hurt. They read it in your attitude toward study, work, and family. They read it in the way you care for yourself. If you neglect your body and let it be worn down by fatigue, the message they receive is, God is not important enough to make me live differently. But if you honor your body as a temple, choose a healthy way of living, know how to rest, know how to pause and pray, they will begin to sense there is someone who makes this person treasure themselves. That is when your testimony begins to touch places in their hearts that mere words might never reach. I am not expecting you to turn your life into a perfect stage where everything always has to be polished and shining. I desire that your life become an open home, where those who step in can see corners still unfinished, yet filled with my presence. When they see that you are still weak, but continue to return to me, still get tired, but no longer punish yourself, they will understand that faith is not for the perfect, but for those who dare to let me slowly restore them. My child, a house under renovation that is full of light and laughter is still more beautiful than a cold, a silent castle built on the pretense of perfection. Sometimes you will meet people who are standing exactly where you once stood, exhausted, confused, blaming themselves, stuck in habits that drain their strength. In those moments, you do not need to have all the answers or speak lofty words. You only need to say, I was once like that, and this is how the Lord slowly pulled me out. You can share about one small decision you kept, one simple change in your lifestyle, one time you chose to pray rather than give up. Those sincere sharings are like a small lamp in the night, not driving away all the darkness, but bright enough to show the way. I will use those little experiences to sow hope into their hearts. I want you to know that every time you choose to live as a temple and not as a temporary shelter, you are joining in the great work I am doing in this world. You are not just living well for yourself, you are holding a place in a larger plan of love. A mother who takes care of her body will have the strength to hold her children and pray for them. A young person who guards their energy will have a clear mind to listen to friends in crisis. A child of mine who knows how to rest will have a calm spirit to notice who needs a word of care. Each choice you make, though it seems small, is a brick in the bridge that leads others closer to me. My child, do not be afraid that you are not good enough to be a witness. None of my saints started from perfection. They started from a very small yes, and I did the rest. What I am seeking in you is not a flawless body, but a heart willing to let me touch old wounds. I will teach you to walk in discipline without becoming rigid, in love without becoming careless, in self-care without becoming selfish. And as you keep walking like that, day by day, your life will become a living letter, sent to everyone around you, saying God has not forgotten anyone. He is still patiently rebuilding temples that seem beyond saving. In the end, my child, when you look back on your journey from the days of wearing your body down, living in procrastination, stumbling through small steps, learning to seek peace, to the time you become a living witness, you will see one thing clearly: none of it was by your own strength. It is my hand on every stretch of the road, my breath keeping you standing, my love picking up each broken piece of you and fitting it back together with tenderness. All you need to do is keep letting me lead. Keep honoring my temple in you. Keep choosing what is right day by day. The rest, the work of turning your life into hope for others, into light in the midst of a self-destructive way of living, I will complete. And then you yourself will be amazed to realize a life that chooses to guard the body before me not only saves you from ruin, but becomes a safe shelter where many others can find their way home. My child, sometimes you think that your life story deserves to stay only in diary pages no one will read, that the times you were weak, the old habits, the nights you were so tired you did not want to wake up anymore, are things that must be hidden. You fear that if others knew, they would judge you, look down on you, or see you with pity. But I say to you, it is precisely there, where you feel at your worst, that I want to plant seeds of hope for many. When you let me step into the darkest places of your past, I do not only wipe them clean, I use them as the ground on which to build a new story brighter, deeper, and truer than anything you could write for yourself. I am not seeking perfect people to bear witness to me. I am seeking those who dare to let me touch the most cracked and broken parts of their hearts. Do you see? The calluses on a worker's hands do not make them ugly. They prove that this person has labored, tried, and endured many days of sun and wind. In the same way, the scars in your soul, once healed by me, cease to be reasons for shame and become marks of grace. Others will look and, instead of thinking, "You were once so weak," they will quietly say, "Your Lord is truly strong. That is why I long for you not to deny your own journey. No matter how rough it has been, there are days when I see you standing before the mirror, seeing only the tiredness on your face, the dark circles under your eyes, the signs of exhaustion in your body. You blame yourself, or worse, you ignore them, pretending they are not there. But my child, each of those signs is like my gentle knock on the door of your heart, reminding you that you were not born to live in just push through another day mode. I did not create you to become a shadow of yourself, only walking, working, then collapsing. I created you to live with strength, with meaning, in connection with me. And when you begin to see your body as part of my plan, not as something to be forgotten, you have already begun to allow your life to become your first testimony. Try to remember the times you saw someone live in deep peace in the middle of a storm, and your own heart was comforted simply because you knew they existed. That is exactly what I want to do through you, to make you a living letter to those who are in despair. No printed words, no headline, no loudspeaker is needed, only that you live a little truer. Be a little gentler with yourself. Remain a little more faithful in small things. When you choose not to stay up late hurting yourself anymore. When you decide to eat more sensibly. When you allow yourself to rest. When you return to simple, nightly prayers. All of these are sending out a quiet message. The Lord is restoring my life. Your family, friends, and colleagues will notice that, even if you never say a word. I know there are places of hurt in you that make your chest heavy even to mention. Maybe it is the guilt of having done things that wore your body down. Maybe it is rash decisions, relationships that dragged you away from me, or years in which you despised yourself. You think these things disqualify you from ever speaking to anyone about me again. But my child, you forget that I am the one who turned the cross, a symbol of humiliation, into a source of salvation for all. If I can use a piece of wood for crucifixion to bring new life to many, I can also use the very years you thought were wasted to water other parched hearts. The only thing I need is that you do not bolt the door of your heart. Do not insist on hiding those dark corners from me. When you decide to give me permission to touch the deepest wounds, you will discover something very different. You no longer have to strain yourself to bear witness. Instead, the very fact that you dare to live honestly, dare to admit your weakness, dare to say, "I was wrong, but the Lord is mending my life," becomes a testimony far stronger than hundreds of polished sermons. People do not need a spotless statue of a saint. They need to see a real human being who was once broken but is now slowly changing because I am in their life. And every time you choose to care for your body, honor your limits, and say that's enough to what wears you down, you are showing them that I am the one who not only saves their soul, but also loves the very body they live in. I want you to understand that when I call you the temple of God, it is not just a beautiful title to hang on the wall, but a living reality. A temple is not only for display, it is where people come when they are weary, when they need guidance, when they are searching for meaning. If you let me rebuild the temple in you, restoring your thoughts, habits, and rhythm of life, then those who come near you will feel lighter, more peaceful, more encouraged. They will not immediately understand why. But I do, because it is I who am in you, radiating through your eyes, your smile, the way you listen, the way you no longer destroy yourself. That is how a living temple works, not with loud bells, but with a presence that lets people sense me. My child, I see there are times you think, what if I change and then fall again? What if I take care of my body for a while and then give up? What if I start living differently and others do not believe it? These questions make you hesitant, afraid to take another step, as if unless success is guaranteed, it is better not to try at all. But I am not asking you to become perfect in one attempt. I am inviting you into a journey. On that journey, there will be days you walk fast, days you slow down, even days you stumble. What makes your testimony powerful is not smoothness, but the fact that whenever you fall, you still get up, still return to me, still choose to care for your body, still choose to believe you are worthy of restoration. Remember, I once used Peter, a quick-tempered man who denied me 3 times to become a pillar of the church. He was not perfect, but he allowed me to change him little by little. He wept. He regretted. He was weak, but he also stood up, taught, loved, and sacrificed. His story is not one of a life without falls, but of a man who, each time he fell, ran back to me more quickly. So it is with you, my child. If you fall, do not let shame keep you down. Let me welcome you back, dust you off, and continue riding with you. Those returns will teach you about mercy, so that you can have compassion on those who are stuck in the same struggles. What I long for is that one day, when you look back, you will realize that every small step you took with me quietly touched more people than you ever knew. It might be a friend who once saw you exhausted and later sees you living more balanced, and begins to think about caring for themselves. It might be a family member who witnessed your chaotic years and now notices a gentler light in your words, your attitude, your eyes. It might be someone far away who just happens to hear you share a little about your journey, and that story plants a spark of hope in their night. You do not need to know it all. You only need to know that each decision you make today is creating a circle of influence wider than you imagine. As you keep walking this path of honoring your body, not delaying what is right, being faithful in small steps, and guarding the peace I give, you will begin to feel a very different rhythm in your soul. It will no longer be the hurried beat of push a bit more and then collapse, but the rhythm of listen, respond, rest, listen again. That is the rhythm of someone who knows they no longer have to save themselves, because I am walking with them. And when you live in that rhythm, you will realize that you are not only rescued from self-destruction, but also sent not to far-off places, but into the very relationships closest to you each day to bring a different kind of presence lighter, more healing. I want you to understand that nothing is too late as long as you are still breathing. Each breath is proof that I am still giving you the chance to write another line in the story of your life. Even if your body already bears consequences from the time you lived carelessly, I can still use that very state to teach you wisdom, a deeper appreciation of life, and how to love others facing the same things. Restoration does not always mean every trace disappears. It often means you learn to live fully, freely, and in love with me right in the midst of that reality. And that, my child, becomes a powerful testimony to those who think only the perfect are worthy to come near me. My child, when you hear these words, there may still be another voice whispering inside you, but I'm just an ordinary person. I don't know how to speak lofty truths. I'm not good at comforting anyone. I know. I do not need you to become a preacher. I need you to be yourself, yet a self that has been touched by me. All I ask is that you be willing to share a small part of your journey with those I place beside you, a sentence, a moment of listening, a silent prayer, a gentle encouragement. Sometimes, simply saying, I have been as weary as you, I have neglected myself as you have. But God did not abandon me. That alone is enough to keep someone standing on the edge of despair from taking one more step toward ruin. And then, when your heart understands more deeply what it means to be a living witness, you will look at your body and your life differently. You will no longer want to wear it down, because you will know that each time you do, you are dimming a picture I am patiently painting. You will be more careful with what you eat, what you watch, what you think, and what you say to yourself late at night, not because you are pressured to keep up appearances, but because you love me, and you love the people you will meet tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now. You will understand that the temple can only be a place where people find life if it is not cracked and broken by the very hands entrusted to guard it. Finally, my child, I want you to keep one thing in your heart. I do not expect you to become an ideal in the eyes of the world. I only desire that you be faithful in my eyes. Faithful in honoring the body I have given you. Faithful in not throwing what is right into tomorrow. Faithful in the small steps you choose each day. Faithful in seeking true peace rather than chasing noise. And faithful in letting your very life tell the story of me. When you live this way, you not only avoid cracking the temple of God, but you also help rebuild many other temples around you that are close to collapse. And in my eyes, that is a sacred beauty nothing in this world can compare with. Now, in this moment, I invite you to quiet the restlessness in your heart, to steady each breath, and to honestly lift up to me a prayer that rises from the deepest place within your heart. Almighty God, who formed me wonderfully and placed the breath of life within me, today I come before you with a repentant heart. For so many times I have failed to honor the body you entrusted to me. I have taken lightly the signs of fatigue, ignored the quiet cries of my health, and treated myself like a tool that must work without ceasing rather than a temple set apart for holiness. Please forgive me for the times I chose convenience, emotions, and passing cravings instead of wisdom and long-term stewardship. Shine your light upon me so I may see more clearly the value of the body you have entrusted to my care, so that I no longer continue harming myself through old habits. From this day forward, may every small decision in how I eat, rest, and live become a quiet offering of honor lifted up to you. Merciful Father, who understands every shadowed corner of my soul, I confess before you that there have been many times I have used food, drink, and consumption to fill the sadness, loneliness, and anxiety within me. Instead of running to you, I ran to things that only brought brief comfort and then left behind an even deeper emptiness. Father, forgive me for seeking consolation at the table more than in your arms. Set me free from dependence on habits that only make me more weary. Place within me a heart that can discern what truly nourishes me and what is slowly wearing me down. So I learn to say, that is enough, to what harms my body. I ask you to restore to me a simple joy in wholesome eating, in caring for my body with gratitude, and in seeking true comfort in you rather than in anything else. Lord Jesus, Son of the living God, I thank you for coming in a body as frail as ours, so you could feel weariness, hunger, thirst, sorrow, and every limitation of human life. I thank you because through your life on earth, I understand that eating, resting, and withdrawing to quiet places to pray is not escaping responsibility, but part of obedience. I praise you for your example, knowing when to stop, knowing how to sleep even amid storms, living with discipline in the body so that the Father's will might be fulfilled completely. Teach me that each time I learn to care for myself, I am also walking in your footsteps, you who lived fully, in body and spirit, before the Father. May this gratitude never leave my heart, so that when I rest, I am also honoring the Lord of the Sabbath. Sweet Holy Spirit, I thank you for not growing weary of my slow change, but continuing to stir me, convict me, comfort me, and guide me on the journey of restoration. I am grateful that you have shown me that a healed life is not only a blessing for me alone, but also a gift you desire to pass to those around me, through me. I thank you for choosing to use someone who has been weak, who has neglected their own body, who has lived in delay as I have, and turning me into a witness of your patience and renewing power. Let this gratitude keep me humble, so that no matter how much I grow, I remember it is all your work. May my whole life, how I rest, how I eat, how I work, and how I share my story, become a living song of thanksgiving offered to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, forever and ever. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.